Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Bradley.
And I'm Dave Bales. Welcome to Nothing to See Here, formerly not the Situation Room, at least for this week. But trust me, this is all going to make sense shortly.
I'm not changing the intro screen, so even though you're going to arbitrarily change the title now,
Don't act like you didn't know I was going to do that. Oh, I made an executive decision. Sorry.
I thought you were joking about it. However, good choice based on today's topic, which is the largest password breach in history has occurred.
Oh no, not again.
Right? Yeah, therein lies the problem, right? Because it hasn't happened again. There is nothing to see here.
Yeah, the password breach that we're talking about is not new. In fact, it's almost 9 years old, sort
And
of.
keeps getting older.
It does. It's got a birthday coming up.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, this story pops up every year or more often than just every year. Let me just tell you about this largest password breach in history.
You just need the ominous echo with that when you say it.
I might
So,
I might try to add that in post.
yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, this isn't a breach per se. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's not in the way it's been told. It's only new in the sense that the collection of passwords has just gotten bigger.
In other words, this breach is just an amalgamation of years worth of breaches going all the way back to collection one, eight-ish years ago.
I like that word, amalgamation. That's a good one.
I do too. Yeah.
So basically, what's happening is they're taking old breach files and the proverbial they, right? I don't know who they is, but it's whoever reports on this and comes out with it like a new story.
They talk a lot.
They do, don't they? They're taking old breach files and combining them. One source finds out about a new file with an abnormally large file size with a recent date and then runs with it. Just give it time. In fact, that if you are the fact is that if you're continually just collecting lists of leaked passwords and adding them up, the sum total just keeps growing. That's what happens when you keep adding to something. The same story is going to come out again, and the number is going to be, you guessed it, bigger. And then the new one will be the biggest breach in history.
I love when you do that. The problem with it is that they don't take the time to parse the data that they're reporting on. If they did their due diligence, as we stated in our episode about responsible reporting, they learn that the data breach is just old with new old information. Yes, new old, contradiction in
That's a
terms.
new thing.
It is. It's the new old. Some of these breaches that have been added to the list were just sitting in a repository for days, months, or even years, and someone went through the trouble of adding them to the master list.
Well played.
Sorry, that didn't work as well as yours does.
I liked it. Yeah, but I'll be honest, I think you're being nicer than you should. I don't even want to give them that much credit because I'm not even sure if they cared to find out if it was legit or not. It was just the greatest story they wanted to tell, and it was clickbait, and it was going to get attention. And every time we get asked, as I'm sure many others in our position do, every single time this story breaks, what are you doing about it? Sarcastic answer? Nothing. And in a bit, I'll explain why. The better answer is educating you, the public, our friends and colleagues, that sometimes, what what is that word I'm looking for, Dave?
Sensationalism?
That's the one.
Okay.
Sensationalism gets the cyber world worked up into a frenzy.
Well, to be clear, it's not all the media outlets or even all cybersecurity
No,
companies, but it is enough people in the industry to ask
as
questions.
they should.
Yeah, and you absolutely should. And even in our jobs, we sometimes get caught up in the hype.
Well, we have to check it. We can't just assume it's not real. So,
Exactly.
and the difference is that we actually do have people that are going to vet this stuff extremely well and help put out the fire before that match even lights it.
Oh, I love that analogy. I love that. Where'd you come up with that? That's so great.
I don't know, but I like it too. I'm going to keep that.
Yeah. File that one away. So, what is actually in this breach?
So 16 million passwords from various other breaches combined. The thing is, if you've changed your password in the last 6 months, or at least followed company policy and changed it when you've been told to, those passwords are basically useless. In fact, some of my ancient passwords are in this list.
Oh, so are mine, and I'm sure that probably 20 password changes have occurred between then and now. But do not get lax on this. Make sure you are practicing good password
Mhm.
hygiene. Use strong passwords or passphrases, and always, always, always use multi-factor authentication when it's available.
It is a little nostalgic though sometimes to go through that list and go, "Oh, I remember back when I used that password
I used it for everything.
back then,
Yeah.
way back before I knew better."
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes these stories a little less scary because trust me, when we confirm a new breach, we're going to report on it.
Yeah.
However, if you're doing the things the Dave was just talking about, the Dave, I called you the Dave, that's kind of cool. Anyway, the things that Dave was just talking about, your password getting leaked really isn't the end of days because again, it's probably been changed already.
Of course, if there is actually a confirmed new breach, give
Hmm.
yourself some leeway and just change passwords. That's it. It's really simple. It's not always convenient, but it does beat losing all of your money because you forgot to change the password to your bank.
Very true. Nothing worse than losing your life savings or some critical data that was, really important to you because you didn't heed the advice and change your password and monitor your credit. How's that free credit monitoring going for you, by the way, Dave?
Oh, I should be good for life.
You and me both. I think I've got 147 years stocked up.
You were such a show off. I've only got 85. Ugh. Anyway, Nick, we got to run. We got some other things to do, but is there anything else you want to leave us with?
You know there is. The opinions expressed here are our own and do not in any way reflect the views of anyone or anything other than us. Thank you for watching. We love to hear your thoughts on this and what we covered here today.
Do you agree? Disagree? All feedback is welcome. Let us know if you too are a blind clicker. Oh,
No.
oh
Damn it.
no!
I saw it coming and went, no, 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 no. Oh,
Oh!
all right. We'll just,
Sometimes, folks, we do make mistakes and leave other parts of scripts in there. That was just one of them. And you know what? We're not even going to edit it out.
I,
We're going to leave it in there to show that we are still human. Goes with the story, don't you think, Nick?
I think it kind of does actually. So
Yeah.
like, share, comment, and
We will see you next time.